and welcome to the Havering Means Business Morning Commute. I'm your host, Chris Dames. Hope you're doing amazingly well this morning. And we've got people already coming into the meeting room. So Russ is going to hopefully let them in. So we've got Ian and we've got Carol coming in immediately, and we're going to let Ian and Carol in. Morning, Ian. How are you?
Morning, Chris. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been one of them weeks this week. It really has.
Why has it been one of them weeks?
Yeah, well, no, it's stuff with a new group has taken a little bit of a twist. So yeah, there's been a little bit of frantic activity. Talk about it later.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it seems to have been one of those weeks for a lot of us, right? Because it's work for us is just absolutely crazy at the minute. It's settling down now. Now I've delegated a lot of the work out, but at the start of the week I was doing pretty long hours. Carol, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Pouring yourself a tea? Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? I haven't had one this morning, but I normally start my day with a strong cafetiere coffee. It's good stuff.
Always decaf though. I've been decaf for years.
Have you? Right. Okay. What made you go decaf?
Just started feeling really after I've been drinking it, and the one day we were actually out delivering leaflets, which we never do. Went in a cafe and had a coffee, and then the rest of the afternoon I was just like, oh, my head is killing me, my stomach's killing me. So yeah. I blamed it on that rather than the omelette and chips that I'd had. So yes.
Would it have been the omelette and chips?
I don't think it was the omelette and chips.
Okay, fair enough. We're just waiting for a few more people to come on and join the group. I think we had sort of 8 or 9 booked on for the call. So
well, that's pretty good then. It's always a bit of I like to do my run first thing, don't I? So I was like, right,
you know what?
I need to be ready.
You know what? Your habits on your run are far better than mine. I mean, I was up this morning. I'm doing this. I've got a few meetings during the day, and then I'll probably get out and have a run at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. But then the problem is, if I get a task that needs to get done, or I get caught in a body of work, it turns into 4 o'clock, 4:30, and at the moment 4:30 is too late because it's getting dark, isn't it? And if you want to go out for an hour, you find yourself like having to road run, and I like to run in the county park. So yeah, I need to get better habits with my running. But what time do you go out in the morning?
I usually go out at 8, and because I'm running every day, I'm only doing like half an hour, so I'm back by 8:30 and getting on LinkedIn, which I'm just a slave to now. These hubs and groups and pods, whatever you want to call them, oh my goodness, I'm on it for like a good hour every morning. So
commenting on other people's posts. And, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit later on. But how are you measuring success from that?
I'm writing out every day how many people have viewed it. It's probably really not the sort of thing Frances would do. She probably does something really high tech, but then I can see what sort of pictures and what sort of content got everyone's attention, and then I'll get ones that I thought were a really good post and get hardly any people. So yeah, it's just a bit trial and error now.
But the interesting thing is, like, so when I think LinkedIn as a platform is pretty good, but we've changed our measure of success on LinkedIn, because it used to be how many views, how many people have taken a look, and now I judge a successful LinkedIn post by how many of our professional partners have liked it. So if we've got, for example, we've got an introducer into our business that's a local accountancy practice, is the one of the partners there. If he likes it, actually that's probably more powerful for me than 100 random views, because that's the audience that I want to get to. And sometimes I think there's I don't know, it's an interesting one. I think there's a vanity in views, isn't there? Where you go, oh, it's had 600 views, but is it views of the people who want to use your product or service? And that mentally is the challenge for me. How do you value? How do you balance that? I don't know.
I think there's a combination in it.
If you've got, sorry, I say if you've got the views, then the chances are that the people you want to see it are going to see it. But yeah, as you say, it'd be good to. It's like getting blood out of a stone, getting someone that's not in your pod to comment, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we do all right, but it's and it's weird because sometimes on our little videos we get sort of offline stuff. We get somebody email us or direct messages and say they like it, which is super cool. James, how are you, mate?
Very well, thank you, Chris. Very well.
How's your week been?
Yeah, I can't believe it's Friday again.
I know.
It's mad. Sorry, I was a couple of minutes late. I was just boiling the kettle, so I thought I'd have a.
You can't start without a hot drink, mate.
I know,
so no worries. No worries.
Interesting thing I just heard about LinkedIn is it might be worth, Chris, organising a little power team. So, for example, on certain days of the week, maybe certain times, we all have a WhatsApp group where we share our posts and then we go on, like each other's posts, comment. Because I have heard, I'm not into the algorithms, but I have heard that if you comment more than 4 words on a post, it will kind of spread to a bit of a bigger audience.
So, funny enough, James, Carol and I had a quick meeting on that last week, didn't we? With Francis, who's our resident social media expert. And we're thinking about doing that for premium members. So I'm just trying to work out the logistics of it and how I'm going to fit it into my day, because I'm currently in Francis' LinkedIn group just to see how it all works. And this week I haven't had the time to comment as sort of diligently as, and then you don't want to let people down, right? And that's the issue of it. So if we can do it so that it's not as intense as doing it every day, perhaps in the premium Facebook group that we're going to be setting up, just posting the links in there, and then people commenting on LinkedIn as and when. We'll probably do that.
Yeah, because this week I'm part of a golf networking group, and I shared. Someone took a screenshot. There was about 55 of us in a meeting this week, and then someone posted that on LinkedIn, and then I shared it, and I just simply put a message saying if anyone's interested in playing golf and growing their network, let me know. And off the back of that, 2 people inquired about golf. So it wasn't anything to do with my business, but it's nice because I think you all now know that how much I love golf, but it was.
I don't think you mentioned it, mate. I think you know what, we had a 1-to-1 this week, but I forgot to ask you how your golfing over the weekend went.
Oh right, yeah, no. So I'll be chipping balls this weekend, working on my swing. So yeah.
All good. All right.
Yeah.
Christine, how are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Again, like James, I can't believe it's Friday. This week's just gone in the blink of an eye. I don't know. I woke up yesterday going, I'm sure it was earlier in the week, but yeah, here we are, and but it's been a good week. So. Yeah,
you know, I've had a really productive week, but Cassie said to me earlier in the week, you need to take a few hours off. And I was like, why do I need to take a few hours off? And apparently I was wandering around the kitchen talking to myself, and that's never a good sign. So I yesterday afternoon I took off. I delegated everything I could delegate. Clients were happy. We were on track with everything. So I just had 3 hours off, reading and playing chess and doing some stuff that my options were a bit restricted at the minute, Christine, because I can't go out the house. But I did what I can to relax. And I would have gone for a swim. You know, that's one of the things I'm missing about lockdown, not swimming. I like a good swim. So
yeah, that first swim after the first lockdown I had, it was like, oh, it's nice to be in a pool again. Yeah, I miss it too.
Where do you swim?
Mostly at Sapphire.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay. I've not been in there, Paul, because it's all been redone with the ice rink, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's nice in there. I like it.
Cool. And Phil's joined us. Hi, Phil. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. How's your week
So
been?
I was just looking to unmute myself, and then I realised I wasn't even muted yet. So
You would have pressed the button and muted yourself again.
yeah, exactly.
How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It's had its challenges, like everybody's has. Particularly had a bit of a blip yesterday, but we went through it. It's fine. Mostly related to homeschooling at the moment, but it's all good.
Yeah, I trying to keep the kids on track is an ongoing challenge, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Charlotte looks after herself, but the amount of times I've turned around or gone back in the house and the little ones watching telly or like finding any excuse not to do
anything, yeah.
Looking for food.
Well, you know what? She was meant to be homeschooling earlier in the week, and I walked in the house. She was just painting rocks, and I was like, "Why are you doing that?" Number one, where did you get the paint and the rocks? And then number two, you're meant to anyway. Right, I'm not gonna go on a rant about homeschooling. I'm gonna leave that one. But I don't know if I mentioned this before, but one of the things that we did in lockdown 1 is interview a bunch of people for Savello, for the Savello live show we ran on Facebook, and one of the people we interviewed, and it was the third interview I arranged, was a lady called Helen Westwood. Now I knew Helen because she's a big advocate of financial education in schools, and we every year sponsor a classroom of kids to go through a financial education program. So we pay for it, we go in and do some work with the schools, and we love it, absolutely love it. So I thought having her on might be an interesting conversation. But the real reason I wanted her on is because I was really struggling with homeschooling, and I just wanted some help from a professional, right? I wanted to get some tips. And her biggest tip, and the one I remember, I'll put a link on to the video interview on the group because it might be useful, Phil, is don't be too hard on yourself. It's interesting. It's, you know, we're not professionals. And the other thing she said is don't expect the same results as the teachers get in the class, because there's a dynamic in the classroom where all the kids are doing the same thing.
That's the thing I'm kind of noticing that. Obviously, you kind of think of start of a sort of best intentions. You think, oh, it's gonna be really good. We can do this, do that, and then quite quickly you realise that it's more like it's not quite so interactive. It's more like trying to pull them through homeschooling than actually having a load of fun doing it.
Yeah, well,
but to be fair, they've been doing really well. So I talk about it, I joke about it, but they've been doing amazingly well. To be
amazing. Fair. Yeah, it's when you find yourself doing the work, Phil, you go, I'm not convinced this is the way it's meant to be.
and who knew maths has all changed? So, maths has changed. So, I have to spend more time learning how to teach them their maths than actually teaching them maths. So,
you've got to learn how to do it all over again, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, I have to learn to do it their way. So yeah, it's quite funny.
It's weird though, because Charlotte, we're having a lot of homeschooling to talk. Yeah, Charlotte's doing an economics A level at the minute, and there's a module in there about tax. So I'm in my element at the minute. I feel amazing because she's doing income tax and PAYE and NI and all that. All that. I can help with that. Give me sort of what's a conjugated verb. I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost. Clive, how are you?
Good. Don't ask me about homeschooling. I'm very lucky that my kids have long left school. So because I think I'd have 3 very fit kids if they relied on me.
How old are yours, Clive? How old are your kids?
They're in their 20s. My youngest is now 25, but 25, 26, 28. So, but yeah, no. Go on. I was on a call yesterday with Redbridge, and we had an event, and there was one mum there, and she had to. Well, one of our clients had to keep going off and doing maths, and she contributed to the event and everything. I said to her at the end, I said, you know, you kind of got my admiration because it's not an easy thing. I said, no, I can't imagine what it's like to try and hold down a job or a business, and you've got kids in their teens trying to learn stuff. I said, one, you've got the drain on the you're trying to keep everyone happy, with the internet, and and if and again, there's this big thing about IT poverty, isn't there? With a lot of kids just don't have the ability to have a laptop or a phone or internet connection, and we kind of take it for granted. I think people that have it, that it's the internet is always there, kind of. But for so many people, we're not. I'm working in. Most of my work is in Greenwich, and 1 in 3 kids there will live on or below the poverty line. So it's a real big issue.
So I interviewed, as I mentioned on it's called before, I run a podcast to talk to people who are doing really good work in the world. And I interviewed somebody after the Havering Means Business event last week, a lady called Serena. She's got an amazing name, Serena van der Meulen Taylor, her name is. And she runs a financial planning up north, friend of mine. And she runs something called the Hygiene Bank that effectively takes donations from places like Boots, just really basic hygiene stuff. She's up in Doncaster, and then distributes it to food banks and places that need it. And when she set up in 2018, she did 2 tons. 2019, she did 27. 2020, she did 42. And you turn around and go, sure, like, I think, as you say, you take for granted all of this stuff we've got, when in actual fact, there are people out there who do struggle. And thankfully, there's people good enough to help out, like Serena. She's amazing.
You're right. I also, away from the ELBP, I work for Homestart Havering, which is an organisation that looks after families with children under 5 in the borough. Now I'm a trustee there, and what kind of opens my eyes is, I think we all kind of live in a bubble, in our own bubbles, and we take, and it's normalised. Our bubble is normalised. We think everybody lives exactly the same way, but it always amazes me when people do talk. We work a lot with food banks, and it is the and one of the real issues we had a few years ago. We were doing a lot was female sanitary products. It's a real issue for people just don't have the financial access to it, and women will stand the pill, for months, years, to avoid the cost of it. And so we had a big drive to try and help that issue.
Because part of the conversation we had on Friday was about that, and the fact that not having access to sanitary products for those women then impacts every other part of their life, because they might not be able to go work, or they might, it's so helping out. Clive, be good to chat about that, because if we can share the story of the work you do for the organisation on the Kindness Project, that'd be useful.
Yeah, it's a really good. If you're running in the borough for about 20 years, I've been involved for about 8 years, and it's like I love it. It's I was a single parent for about 3 years, so it kind of resonates with me. And but we're doing some great stuff, and it's always like any charity. It has its peaks and troughs, and at the moment we're on a bit of a peak because we're doing really well with funding. But it's like any charity, you're only as good as the last lot of funding you got. You're constant funding. So it's a really I get a lot of satisfaction from it, and it does keep my hand in. Where I talk about business support, it also shows that I do also have.
Well, it's do well, do good, isn't it? If you're lucky enough to have done all right and continue to do all right, you've got to give back. I think that's part of it.
Well, yeah, very much so. And we the trustees we've got on board, are really good. We're really passionate about what we do, and it is about giving back. You're right. And although I'm not someone who's on the front line with it, but it's just as important to make sure something's
it's managed well. Yeah. Thanks, Clive. Appreciate that, mate, and thanks for sharing on that. Raz, can you just highlight that we might want to have a chat with Clive and as an interview for the Kindness Project?
Yeah, I'll make sure that's done.
Thank you. Julie, how are you? Oh, you're on mute. First
Hi,
time
guys.
today.
I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I was
No
on a call,
worries.
but nice to see you all. How you all doing?
Good. How's your week been?
It's actually been really good. Not necessarily, with new clients coming on board, but we've got some clubs that are due to start. Our growth club. We had our book club, or everything. It's just really good. But because I'm still quite new to Action Coach, it's enabled me to sort of learn more about it. So yeah, I've had quite a good week, really.
And I suppose the other benefit you've got is you benefit personally and professionally from that knowledge as well, don't you? Because you're being coached effectively throughout the process.
Yeah, and you just don't realise how much it impacts on your own life as well.
Yeah.
My nickname at home now is, instead of JB, it's PP. They'll go, "Oh, here comes Positive Polly."
Julie, you've muted yourself.
Chris, if you could see my desk, what we've had to quickly do at home here. There's 3 of us all working from home.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I've got the space at the end of the hours, actually, because it means that otherwise you'd get Sophie running through and just getting involved. You know what was funny? And again, apologies if I've told this story before. Lockdown 1, we took on a new client, and it was the first client we took on without ever meeting them. So we did the interview via sort of Zoom. It was a lady who works for Google. She's a VP at Google. She was based in the US. Really good client for us. And did the discovery meeting, understood what she was looking to achieve, had a really good chat with our rapport there. One of our rules is that we've got to like the people we work with, and that really works. So I just started to talk to her about how we might be able to help. Sophie at that point had been gardening, and she'd come in with this big clump of dirt and mud from the garden, and not behind the camera, Julie, not like behind the laptop, came in front of the laptop to show me and my client this clump of dirt. I don't know what to do with that. I genuinely, I've never had to deal with that professionally before in my life. But I think people are a bit more understanding at the minute, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anyone would see the funny side of that.
Yeah.
And they say, don't work with children and animals or something.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, she engaged us, so it couldn't have gone too bad. But it was okay. Ian, we'll do a round robin about sort of business, what's going on, and what you're looking for first. And we'll start with Ian. Ian, tell us a little bit about your business and the work you're doing at the minute.
Okay. As you can see from the banner behind me, my company name is iBraille Limited. We're a little boutique consultancy dealing with change and compliance. It's really interesting out there at the minute because people are seeing lots of compliance topics as luxuries, as box ticking. So yes, they'll pay their tax when they have to, but there's a bit of a problem out there about the rest of it. But one of the things that I also get involved in on the change side is helping people to realise when things aren't right and what they can do about it. And a recent case that's gone through the courts started with a data protection issue, a nuisance cause, and it ended up as being the regulator, the ICO, actually prosecuted by a little used act called the Computer Misuse Act. So, everyone thinks that, oh, well, if you get caught out by data protection, then there's no jail terms. If you get caught out with the Computer Misuse Act, there are jail terms. So, it really kind of brought home to me the framework idea that the government was putting out about the new 2018 Act and how it's going to sit within and over the top of lots of other acts to help people understand that this regulation has now got teeth.
And what does the Computer Misuse Act specifically cover?
This is one of the things. This particular case arose from someone in a trusted position downloading information and selling it, of course, illegally. And therefore, that's how the nuisance calls came into being, because if they sold it to, then sold it on, and the calls start flooding in. So it's used primarily where people do things that are against company policy and procedure. So it also kind of highlights this particular case, the need for policy and procedure in your business, because without the evidence that in your company you're doing the right thing to be compliant, it can really not help you, and it can mean that the impact for the perpetrator of the wrongdoing doesn't, or might not get the full extent of the law applied to their particular situation.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. And I know you do a bit of work with Chelmsford. You're doing a bit of work with Chelmsford Chamber of Commerce. I know you said you'd touch on it later on. So how's that going?
Yeah, I mean, there's to have the name Chamber of Commerce in your actual organisation title, and to do things in the way that the British Chamber of Commerce want them to be done, there's a few more hoops to jump through than we originally thought, and you have to do them up front rather than develop them. So yeah, there's a bit more paperwork, a bit more connecting to do. But no matter what, we're going to get a new group up and running, even if it doesn't have the name Chamber of Commerce in its title, and it will still operate pretty much in the way in which a Chamber of Commerce would do. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got a friend who wanted to set up an institute. So he wanted to set up the Institute of Financial Wellbeing, and the rules around using the word institute are surprisingly strict. So therefore, I think he called it the incentive for financial well-being, and the only reason he kept the I is because he'd already designed the logo. So he had to find a word starting with I that actually.
Excuse me. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, Chris Bard does amazing work on that, because a lot of our conversations around money are also about happiness and how we use money to make people's lives happier. So him doing that and starting research into that sector is absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Ian. Really appreciate that, mate.
No problem.
Carol, how are you? You all right? Tell us a bit about what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I think a week ago I was saying, staying positive, and things are obviously really bad, but we've had a really good week in leaflet distribution, I should add, but I think everybody knows being us. Yeah, we've picked up quite a few customers, which I didn't know about saving them those for my wins, but that has been our week really. That some people coming back, which is really nice, and some completely new customers. I was going to grab someone to grab one of them for me. We've got these amazing cans of drink, and there's a business in Romford that they've set up. They've imported all these cans of healthy sort of nut-based drinks, right. And they're going to be distributing them. And I just thought it's so good for Romford to have a massive business like that here, but they're looking at putting out loads and loads of leaflets to get the word out for these amazing drinks. Once I've spoken, I'll go and grab one, because I'm not seeing anybody that wants to pass me anything. And I'm doing a bit of hand holding this week as well, which I guess is the positive of maybe being a little bit quieter, of a brand new business. She's doing hot dogs, burgers, that kind of thing, out of a van kind of setup. And because she's completely new to this, she's just going through the minefield of all the licenses, all the hygiene. She's got all of that already, but doesn't know so much about this side of things. So
you're opening with the marketing. And one thing I noticed on the group that I didn't realise you did, you do print as well, right? So do you source the print if if somebody comes to you and says, look, I think leaflet distribution might be a good idea, but I don't know where to start, you can sort of do it from start to finish.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're doing with this customer. So we've already done the design and just going through making a few final amendments to that, because we do as many changes as people want. And then we'll get the print in so we can store all of that. She doesn't have to be the one getting loads and loads of boxes in and dealing with all of that. We can just deliver her how many of the menus she actually wants. And then, yeah, stick the rest through people's doors so they can phone up and get their goodies.
Job done. Yeah, good stuff. And where, like, starting a new sort of food business is quite an interesting choice at the minute. So what made her make the move?
I think it's more timing than just the amount of time everything took, rather than thinking I'm going to wait for a lockdown and January and start an actual business. But it got to the point where it was all going long, and then she thought, well, we might as well wait till after Christmas and we'll launch on the 4th of January. But yes, I was the same and thought she's given herself a really, really tough time to start.
But you know what's interesting though? I mean, because of the lockdown, takeaways are the new eating out, aren't they? You know, it's the sort of it's all we're doing to sort of. I mean, we do it on a Saturday night where we go, right, okay, we're going to have a takeaway because we can't leave the house. So it's all good. So good to hear you've had a good week. James, the one-to-one king this week. Clearly, he's had about 1 million one-to-ones. Apart from one-to-ones?
You stole my opening line, Chris. I was going to. I was going to thank Carol. I was blown away by her. Did not expect that, Carol. So
yeah, that was really nice.
But my concern now is you've put me up here. So anyone that I have a one-to-one with, if they don't feel that after the one-to-one it was here. Anyway.
Well, I was curious about what question that you shared with Carol that was really useful.
Oh, we'll have to keep that private. No. Tune in next week for more to be continued.
Yeah.
No, I've had a good week. So with what we do for a living, we specialise in wills and estate planning. We can help families with young children to legally appoint guardians, up to kind of grandparents that have multiple properties around the UK and around scattered around the world. But this week I've connected with a lot more kind of professionals like yourself, Chris, and others, just to slowly over time build that relationship. And what else have I done? And also I've been connecting with a few clubs, like, you know, the local kind of football clubs and rugby clubs that have been struggling financially. They still have the overhead, still have the staff, the maintenance. And I've been discussing with them about a few different opportunities to give back to the community. That's why I'm keen to have one.
There's potential for some affiliate stuff there, isn't there? Do you know
that's
what
right.
I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
We've never explored that, so it'd be interesting
as
long as you're able to share with the group.
Definitely,
to find out how you get on with that.
I think like these meetings are good because it's nice to have something to look forward to on a Friday morning, to catch up with people, to see some more faces, to share ideas. It's very easy to say and to put on a brave face and say, yeah, everything's glorious, we're doing really well, but it's actually nice to share ideas. And one idea I'd like to share is I seem to spend a lot of time going back and forth just to confirm a meeting or a one-to-one with someone. And I know there's various different platforms you can use, like Calendly and a few others. But is there anything anyone would recommend that's got a bit of a personal touch, but not kind of, you know, here's my diary, check it?
So as some of you know, we use Calendly, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty good. I use Herbo and Russ mainly to book all my meetings, so it's a bit easier for me. But Calendly actually is quite powerful because it sets up the meeting, does the Zoom link. If you want to Hervé in my team set ours up, James. If you want to chat with him, because I think like all of these tools, you know, buying the package and getting them set up to systemize the process are two different things. but my experience, if you want to have a chat with her about
Yeah,
how we set up Calendly to follow the process,
that'd be kind. Yeah, no, cheers. Yeah.
yeah, no worries. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
So, yeah, I'm just keen to know whether, because with what I do for a living, if I send someone a link and say, "Hey, just check my diary," and then is that okay or not? Or
It's perfectly okay. I mean, so some of the other things that are out there. I mean, HubSpot as a CRM has got a built-in calendar. There's another CRM. I was trying to think of the name of it. I can't remember. But it's an Essex firm. They've got their own CRM that's got a built-in calendar and email function. So there's things out there, James.
Yeah, I mean,
just keep on.
I think the big thing is make sure it talks to the existing stuff you're already using. So for me, we use Google Diaries. Calendly talks to that, puts the stuff directly in there. And one of the big challenges, in our business is finding technology that works together. Like we've got one bit that does that and one bit that does that. How do I make sure that they? I'm not getting sort of my guys to do two bits of work. Because then it's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Right.
So
also,
yeah.
Does yours link to your Facebook page because you can book meetings and appointments on Facebook, can't you?
Yeah, we don't. It's not part of our marketing mix.
No. Okay.
So I suppose you could, but typically if we get a lead through Facebook, somebody's private message me to say, can we arrange something? So booking, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how everybody else is on this, but typically people don't book online. They like the majority of that stuff is introduced. So yeah, it's not something that we're too worried about. Anybody else thoughts on that?
I think things that come in direct like that, they're an unqualified lead, and they'd be a reduced likelihood of them being a valid prospect for you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you want it warm, don't you? You want to sort of an opportunity who sort of knows how you might be able to add value. Thanks, James. Appreciate that.
Cheers.
Any one-to-ones you've got coming up this week?
Do you know what, Chris? To be in all seriousness, you have to be careful because I've been using LinkedIn a lot recently, connecting with other professionals and within the networks of people that I know. But you could have 4 or 5 meetings every day with one-to-ones with new people, but then not actually get any of your work done.
So Phil and I,
you've got to be so careful.
Phil and I talked about this a few weeks ago on one of these events. I think depth of relationship is more important than number. Like
Definitely,
if you've got 10, 15 really good connections that really support your business, and I know you're gonna, if you can, come to one of our inner circles events in the future. Certainly something, because you'll get to meet our network and hopefully find some opportunities with that. Thank you, James. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
Christine, how's your week been and what's going on in the world of SEO?
Yes, it's been a good week. We've got sorry, I can't speak this morning. 2 new clients have signed up. So one is just helping them rewrite the copy on their website, which was a bit scant. So again, it's quite nice and it feels rewarding to put proper content, what we call proper content, onto their webpage that, hopefully in the coming weeks, once it's up and live, they'll start seeing, the
results.
And then for an existing client that we had on board about 3 years ago, just wants to revamp his website, update the copy. So yeah, a couple of meaty projects one, the copywriting we completed this week. So yeah, we've got that on the horizon.
And how often do you recommend people renew their website copy? Is it, on a regular basis? I mean, clearly blogs and content, regular content helps, but in terms of sort of layout and sort of style, should people be looking at that on a regular basis?
They should. I mean, even just minor tweaks or adding a new service page and things like that just will update how your website sits on the algorithms. So even if nothing's changed in your business in the last 2 or 3 years and you think everything's fine, making even just some minor edits, updating a few photos, thinking, is there another way we could write this, will help the algorithms think that you're actually still active and still, you know, a viable business that cares about their website. So yes, it should be done. I'd say a minimum every year, just to have a look.
Yeah.
But
and just make sure that everything's updated and continues to be relevant and stuff like that.
And I think
and
also now is what services have changed because of lockdown. What have you added onto your, you know, what you offer because you've had to adapt? And is that properly reflected on your website? Because if it isn't, then people just see you in your old format.
The other thing I was going to mention was that your amazing little educational video you posted on the HMB Facebook page.
Yes, I can't take credit for that. Tracy did it.
Well, I thought it was Tracy, funny enough. But share with us a couple of the tips in there that might be useful for us as business owners to know.
Well, for both Tracy and I, although Tracy being kind of quite outgoing, we're both quite shy when it comes to being on camera, talking on a formal video, you know, hi, this is me, this is what we do. To me, it feels awful. And I don't particularly like the sound of my own voice. So that's why I said, Tracy, it's up to you, you're gonna have to do it. So what we did is through kind of using a slideshow format is how can we put that across with a bit of voiceover, a bit of music, and just make it hopefully, you know, engaging and interactive with just a few top tips.
Yeah, you know what I mean. We can talk about sort of effectiveness of video, but I did an interview yesterday. Sort of journalist had seen one of our 1-minute videos and phoned me up to ask me about them. For one of our trade press publications, and certainly on LinkedIn, the effectiveness of those short, snappy videos was a lot more powerful than we did a few sort of 2 or 3 years ago, 20 minutes long, and literally nobody watched them because who's got time to watch a 20-minute video? So it's interesting sort of mixing up the format and making sure it's right. Thanks, Christine, appreciate that. We'll come back in the next round to talk about wins and speaking at events, because that's one of the things that we're going to be starting doing on these Friday meetings. Phil, how's life as a virtual personal trainer at the minute?
You know, it's going okay actually. I said I'm not at the moment. I'm not, you know, jam packed. I think it's taken a bit of time with all the changes that have been going on. I think people sometimes need a bit of time to get you. Obviously, everyone's used to Zoom now. Absolutely everybody is. But in terms of actually thinking about how effective you can, you know, deliver a personal training session over Zoom, I think sometimes people initially sometimes you need to see it to believe it, because actually I don't think people always fully appreciate how powerful Zoom can be for things like that. So yeah, it's taking a bit of time. Some people need a little bit of convincing, but and yeah, it was for me at the moment, because I'm obviously my business is still relatively in its infancy. Yes, it's all about trying to obviously get my personality across to let people know I'm here, because it's quite obviously it's personal training, it's very personal. People aren't always the most confident when it comes to that, so it's not always something that people decide to do straight away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of warming up. Sometimes people need to get used to the idea, and it takes a bit of time to find the right person for them emotionally as well. So it's quite an emotional.
It is a relationship with trust, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And so yeah, it takes time. So and that's obviously why platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where you can, you know, share your message, even if you don't feel like, you know, the analytics and the insights maybe don't show that you're reaching that many people. Over time that grows because people, they warm to you. So obviously you don't need a as you were saying, you don't need necessarily a massive audience. You just need quite an impassioned audience that eventually know about you. And actually that's where kind of the magic happens, when people start talking about you and sharing with their closer networks as well.
I've got a book that I'm going to post to you, Phil.
Okay.
A guy called Robert Cialdini. It's a social psychology book called Influence. Have you read it?
I haven't read it. I've seen it. I haven't read it.
Okay, I'll post you my copy because you'll really benefit from that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris.
Because one of the things that I struggled with in the early days is like just doing an activity, a marketing activity, and like two people looking at me going like, what is the point? You know, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But at a similar sort of time, I read the book by Robert Cialdini, and he talks about that benefit of consistency and the compound of just consistent activity.
And that's the thing, especially in the world of, you know, I was thinking about today, because I spent so much time recently where I'm setting everything up. I've been doing a lot of, you know, posting on, you know, Facebook, Instagram. First of all, talking about the business and me. Now, obviously, I'm trying to improve on that, and obviously, actually, you know, give the value out. And they're talking about what we're doing, things that people can take away, whether they're using me or not. I've been doing a lot of that in the community, trying to put tips, actionable advice, things like that. But yeah, now obviously I realise I've done that, but on Google, obviously I've got my website up and everything, but I haven't been putting much on. I'm forgetting all the clients and everything that I am working with. I've been forgetting to ask them, if you're enjoying it, can you put reviews? And it's all about kind of building things up, because people look to other people, and how, even if they don't know them, look to other people's experiences, how they've got on,
Social
to
proof.
actually inform their decisions. And that's what it is. And people will look to. It's all well and good having yourself on, having a platform and putting yourself out there. But if you're not constantly turning up, you're not setting yourself up for being able to, you know, people will look at you and think, oh, he's, you know, fairly infrequent, very inconsistent, and people don't really resonate with that, do they?
It's interesting, because like at the moment, I could really do with a bit more time, but I'm conscious that consistency is important, and that's why I continue to do stuff like this. So it's interesting. Thanks, Phil. Really appreciate that. And I suppose the other thing that sort of Phil mentions is you haven't always, when you come on these meetings, got to have a good week. You know, we all have weeks where it's challenging, particularly at the moment, and having a supportive environment where we can talk about some of those challenges is part of what the HMB community is meant to be about. So just want to mention that. Clive, talk to me about business for you. What's going on? Where you're heading?
Hi everyone. I'm Clive. I'm from the East London Business Place. We are an organisation run out of the Canary Wharf Group, but we are funded by Havering Council, and we are a business support programme. But boroughs and governments want businesses to look at what they're doing, how they can sell better, how can the whole offer be better. That's what we're here for. We are, you know, I've had two businesses. Some of you will know me from my days when I've done the marquees in the borough, working for Havering Council and various other councils, and how I grew that into one of the biggest in the South East. So I eventually sold the business, and then I bought into a franchise. 5 years ago, just under 5 years ago, the Canary Wharf Group contacted me and said, do you want to come on board with the Building Legacies programme? So I've been there ever since, working. A lot of you will know Glenn Addis and Simon Lewin, who I work with. But we're there in the borough, and all 32 boroughs in London, looking to connect people with each other and helping them look at their businesses from an outside point of view. Sometimes when we're in a business, it's hard to really look at our business, but we can offer that. We have no financial or personal involvement in the business, so we can certainly look at it from an outsider's point of view and help. And it's all funded, so there's no cost to yourselves. What have I been doing this week? One of my clients has been offered a cleaning contract in a school, and I'm helping her put her bid together for that. It's a small autistic school, so we're really hopeful on that. Just before Christmas, I helped another client over in Greenwich put together a bid for breakfast bags. So there was a big food poverty with children in the borough, and they were putting together a bid to ease that problem and give out the bags in the school, which was a complete success. We put the it was originally for 500 bags, and then the council come back and they actually wanted to up it. I think in the end we did about 800, and then someone else done the rest. We couldn't do the whole contract, so the company wasn't quite there. But that's the kind of thing we do. So we're there basically to help.
Yeah, because I know as well, chatting with sort of Glenn, Simon, and you, Clive, over the years, a lot of the work you do is helping bridge the gap between SMEs wanting to tender for some of those bigger contracts and not, having to jump through some of the hoops that they need to make sure they're ready, right?
Yeah, definitely, and it's just tweaking your business quite often, and sometimes going for that bigger contract can be quite daunting. Are you ready, etc. And we would just look at your business, and we'll always be honest with you. If we don't feel you're quite there yet, we will say go for a smaller contract, and sometimes look if you know of a contract that's been awarded, and you feel that you can't be a tier 1 or tier 2 on that. Go to these companies and say, you can help them, because quite often a tier 1 or a tier 2 operator,
subcontract, yeah.
Right. So, can you be a subcontractor for the subcontractor? And looking at these different ways of looking at it. So yeah, there's a lot of work out there at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agreed. Thanks, Clive. Really appreciate that. Julie, tell us a little bit about Action Coach and what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I work for Action Coach, and basically we work with businesses like yourselves to grow professionally, financially, and to build a better work-life balance. My job ultimately was to network and build strategic alliances, but then we have lockdown. So I've been working alongside Mark and the team, just helping to bring in new clients, working on their courses that they provide. We had Action Club that started last Thursday, so that was really, really good. We've got our Growth Club, which starts next Thursday, and I've done a bit of a wacky video on Facebook, which is quite...
So when you're posting that on the group, now you've said that and called it a wacky video, you've set the expectations there, Julie.
It's stupid, Chris, but the guy that's been working with us said, you've got to take risks, you've never done this before, and don't be afraid to use props.
You know what? Now I'm worried. Now I'm genuinely worried. Can you just ease my mind and tell me what prop you used?
It's to do with a bush.
Oh God, this is getting worse. Right. I need to. Right, can you definitely post that video on the group, Julie? We'd love to see it.
Okay. But listen.
I'm trying to find a way to talk about the bushes that won't sound like a carry-on film, and I'm failing badly.
Chris, listen. What have I just said? What have we got starting next week? We've got our Growth Club. So
right, okay.
On a bush growing, and the only reason a bush come to mind was I'm having some work done in the garden, and they're digging up all these laurels.
Yeah. But
behind them, I don't know what you call it, where they regrow and they grow back up again. What is that called? I don't know. I'm useless in the garden. And I thought,
I'm rubbish in the garden. I've literally got fake lawn in my garden because
that's what I'm having next.
Yeah, just purely and simply because we wanted something that was as hassle-free as possible. But I think the interesting thing, Julie, is if you would have told me on Tuesday that I would have turned up for Havering Means Business Morning Commute and had a conversation about bushes, I don't think I could have guessed that, to be honest. So thanks for giving me a chuckle, and definitely share the video.
Yeah, I will. I'll get it on there.
Great stuff.
No, it's really good because we've got this starting next week. We've got quite a few people now that have shown interest in it. So, and this one is a 90-day, so people don't have to come like every month. So it's just quarterly, and I think that's bite-sized chunks, really.
So I've recently done I'm quite a in-depth planner anyway, but the interesting and because of what I do for a living for other people, that helps have the knowledge and skills to do that. But sometimes when you're doing your own plan, you need third-party perspective, don't you? And certainly having a coach and as Clive said, having somebody to look independently at your business is really important. So thanks, Julie.
But the first one is free to anyone that wants to attend, so I think that sort of helps.
What's the date?
It's the 28th of January, and it's 9 till 1:45 via Zoom.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Really appreciate that. I'll look forward to watching your bush video. I don't know. Ross, how are you, mate? Ross has sneaked in on the call. How you doing?
Hello, guys. Sorry I'm late. It's been a busy morning. But yeah, I'm well, thank you. Yeah, I hope everyone else is.
Good. I don't know if this is intentional, Ross, but I can see your sort of card, but I can't see you.
Well, I've been working from very early and haven't
So
had
you
a
don't
chance
know.
to get changed properly yet. So you don't want to
No
see me at the
worries.
minute. I look like a hobo. And where there's no barbers open, my beard, I look like a hobo. My beard's massive, my hair's massive. So do you know what? Today I'll save you the
Yeah,
upset of having to look at me.
Thank you, mate. I know you like to get up early and get started pretty early. What time did you kick off this morning?
I've been awake since 5:30, but I've been working from about 7 o'clock. So
okay, fair enough.
Kind of
And talk to me about what's going on in the Havering Daily.
Super busy at the moment. We've got a number of campaigns that we're trying to, well, we're running, trying to launch, and as well as other activities we've got on the go. So at the moment, we're running a campaign called Support Our Emergency Services, where people are donating food and snacks and drinks to to us, and we're going to deliver them to the emergency services offices around the borough. So we're trying to make that happen at the moment. We've had a really good response, and my house is full of food, and so that's really good. And we're also trying to sort something out for this weekend. So there's a young girl, 2-year-old girl. She has leukemia and Down syndrome, and at the moment she's going through some treatment and stuff like that. But to kind of cheer her up, she loves animals, and particularly cows. So we've been on this mission all week to get a cow.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, to get a cow to come to her house because she's not well enough to be travelling, which is obviously a nightmare during lockdown. And with all of the rules that are around it, it was proving quite difficult. However, the police have really stepped up. So we have got a police officer bringing down all his animals that he has. So he has rabbits, chickens, and we're getting some calves come down, 3 calves, I believe, a police horse.
Amazing.
So we're bringing the farm to the young girl, and that will be happening Saturday. So expect to see me on the BBC News because they've picked up on the story and want to be involved. So
great stuff. And when's that happening? Saturday?
Saturday, yeah, Saturday at 12.
Yeah, really good work, right? It's well done, mate. And I know that the amount that you and the Havering Daily do for the community is pretty brilliant. So well done, thank you. But you are allowed. I mean, I got told this week that I had to take a few hours off. You are allowed to take a couple of hours off. All right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I heard that was just a rumor.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to be doing as of 2 weeks time on the Friday meetings is we're going to start looking at introducing guest speakers. Okay. So that part of the guest speaker thing will be premium members to coming along and talking about their business for 10 minutes. But what I'm also doing is looking at sort of our network and who might benefit from who might come along and speak where the businesses in the room might benefit. So 2 things. One is, would you be up to room about and what would you speak about? And then part 2 is if we could invite anybody, and my network's sort of not massive, but I'm sure I've got an expert on a particular topic somewhere that I could invite. What would you like to hear that would benefit your business? Ian, talk to me about what you'd like.
I suppose. I mean, you know me, Chris, being able to talk is no problem, so that's kind of given. To help me, I think it's people or companies that actually want to be compliant with the regulations that apply to them. Everyone that has got a professional association always follows their rules. What they don't realise is normally there's one of the clauses in there that says must also apply with or comply with all other applicable laws, and that's the thing that they overlook. So that's the thing that I would like promoted is that little bit, and to get maybe someone from a professional association to talk about how important that little clause is.
Okay. Okay. And what would be your ideal speaker? Who would be, if we could get anybody, who would it be?
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head to be honest, but it'll be of that ilk.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Carol, up for chatting about your business at a future meeting? Number one, that's a yes, I thought it would be. And number two, what area or speaker would you like us to invite to come along and talk to the group?
Definitely up for, speaking about us and what we do, and a bit of background as well. I think I'm always really interested anyway to hear about people's background. So just a bit of background info. And then speakers. One person on this screen has jumped out to me. Yeah, he looks back up again. Phil, we could do like a 10-minute workout, all of us together. You could like present it. It's your way to show us what you do. It'd be amazing. Yeah,
100%. 100%. Yeah, definitely. Sort of. I mean, we've got our own Joe Wicks in the room, haven't we, Carol? You know, like we need to make the most of it. So Phil,
I make sure I don't start the live 3 seconds early though. If any of you saw that story.
Yeah, true. Phil, I'm up for that, and Phil's a premium member, so he can come and speak. That's all good. Apart from the people in the community, is there anybody external that you think you'd really like to hear from?
Well, the other thing I was going to mention was some sort of social media presentation, but as you say, that'd be Frances, because her presentations are just out of this world. Every time she speaks, I'm like, I didn't know. She can tell you a way that when we're allowed in rooms with people, you can go on your LinkedIn and it links you to everyone in the room. But that's amazing. That, anyway, and then what about some sort of confidence coach kind of quick tips for doing all these things, like presenting to people, coming across really well on Zooms? Just trying to think of something a bit different, as you say, someone that's not in the room now.
Yeah, so one of the speakers that I've got lined up is a presentation coach. So that'll be over the course of February sometime. He'll come and present to us. He does a thing called the sort of no PowerPoint presentation, how you do it authentically without really sort of boring your audience. So that'll be useful. Yeah, it'd be good. So that when Nick comes on board, we'll get that done. James, up for presenting potentially, and
without a doubt.
Yeah.
With the industry I'm in, I've got so many different stories. I could talk all week, but happy to kind of do something, create more awareness. But I was just thinking with Phil, he has fit in his surname, so he's definitely got the perfect job, hasn't he?
Yeah, we've got a few people in the
Phil Fitz. Phil Fitz. Here we go. Forget Joe Wicks. We've got Phil Fitz.
It's amazing, yeah. Who else would you think we should get on to benefit you in your business?
I don't know if you know. There's a guy called he's an American guy called Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Get him on. No.
Yeah. I think he might be a bit busy, mate. But
who would help my business? Good question. That's a very good question. I don't know. Maybe someone from the council, or I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Give it some thought. But if we need somebody from the local authority, we've got a few connections in the community who can help with that. So
because they might be able to talk more generally about small businesses and how they're helping, and also it might be an opportunity. I don't know if there's like a central hub where you can tell every council what you do for a living, and they've got a general kind of website. I don't know, but
I don't know. Clive might have an insight into that, but we'll Clive.
Okay.
Yes, I do believe in Havering. You can register your business, can't you, to them? And you know what I say to every client I have, if you want insights into council work, speak to your councillor. There'll be a councillor for where your business or your home is in the borough. Speak to them.
Well, there's a councillor on the call because Rosie's a councillor. So
that's not strictly true. I'm not a counsellor. I
Oh.
work very close with counsellors, and I plan to run as a counsellor in
Oh,
2022.
sorry, Ross.
However,
sorry, I thought you were.
if there's any kind of queries you have around the council, I could be a point of contact for you and make sure that you speak to the right person.
Yeah, Ross is your man. Yeah, cool. Thanks,
So
Ross.
councils are
Appreciate
very
that.
open. Very crisp. Now, councils are always really open to hear from businesses in the borough. There's a big, what all councils are gauged on is the percentage of council work going out to council-based borough-based businesses. And where my work in Greenwich, we have about 9% so far. But places like I think it's Harrow has about 24%.
Do you know what the number is in Havering, Clive?
Sorry, say again?
You know what the number is in Havering?
I don't know what the number is in Havering, but I will find it out because it's quite interesting. But ask the question to the council if you want a site of council contracts. Literally, just ask them. Really, is as simple as that.
Yeah.
Don't be frightened to. Your council is responsible for you.
I think there's always that perception, isn't there, that it's the council, but it's just a bunch of people.
The other thing I would say as well, a lot of people look for council work. What I say is, a lot of people, if you're after council work, you'll never be a rich person because, generally speaking, they haven't got much money. So it's never going to be the best paid work.
I think I'll leave that one, Clive. You're not selling it to me, mate.
Well, it's nice work, but it's not always going to be the best paid work. Put it that way.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about whether you, the guys, Glenn or you or the guys at ELBP will be up for speaking at one of these events, and who would benefit your?
Yeah, no, we would definitely speak. No problem at all. Glenn will always. I'll always do a talk as well. So where I think a lot of small business, when I speak to businesses, to get an expert in to talk about HR in small business. Because quite often there is that HR. A lot of people are very unsure about employing someone for the first time or employing other people, getting them on the books. Where do they sit? Where do they? They don't want to fall foul of HR regulation. So if there's someone that can speak about HR in small business, that would be great.
And we've got a few HR experts in the community, so I'm sure that we could get somebody to do that. That sounds good. But yeah, you're right. Those sort of challenges. And then the other one I'm thinking about at the minute is when we think about our sort of 2021 recruitment plan. There's a government scheme at the minute, isn't there? And I can't remember. It's the name. I've lost the name now. But there's a government scheme that's supporting people to get back to work. So that might be another potential subject that we'd look at. Christine, now you've already told us that you don't like the sound of your voice, but would you, or Tracy, you could nominate Tracy, be up for having a chat with us about what you do, and who would you like to see come along and speak?
I think it'll be me talking rather than Tracy. And I don't mind live. That I'm all right with. It's when it's recorded and it's fixed in history that I feel like I'm being scripted. That's what I don't like.
You do know Russ records these, right?
I know.
And put some live out on the group.
I know that, but it's not like that finite thing.
Yeah, it's a conversation, isn't it? Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. So yes, definitely up for doing a talk on whatever people would like, whether it's copy or Google My Business or whatever it is. Happy to do any of that. And I don't know if it's necessarily for us, but I think one of our initial struggles, and it might be useful to the people that don't come on these meetings, the smaller businesses, is as a small business, when you're doing everything yourself, what is the first thing you should be delegating? And to me, I think it should be accounts. So when you're that small entrepreneur, thinking about whether setting up a proper formal company or just even just delegating out your accounts and having that professional advice, I think having an accountant to talk to members that don't come on here that maybe are just starting up.
Yeah, we've got
people involved.
Funny enough, we've got a premium member, Sharon, who's really good at that, and actually good at, because the other challenge we've got is what do you systemize and what do you use, like what do you delegate to, like a system to deal with it, like Xero, or what do you delegate to a person like doing your account? So it's how do you make that choice between systemizing it and giving it to a human to do, and sometimes you've got to do both, right? That makes perfect sense. Thanks, Christine. Julie,
Chris, sorry Chris, let's just say, kind of Sharon and I are talking about putting something like that together for new businesses. So it's kind of on the agenda, I think, for May. So.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so that'd be good. And Ian, is that going to be a consultancy package or a training package? How's it going to work?
Well, at the moment, it's just a webinar, but you never know where things will lead. So, not going to say it's not going to lead anywhere, but that's what the thoughts are at the minute.
Okay, great stuff. All right, thanks. Keep us in the loop on that one here. Julie, I'm sure Mark would be happy to, or any of the Adrian coach team would be happy to come and have a chat.
Absolutely. Mark would be thrilled.
But who would you like to hear from?
Well, I've got to say, it's got to be anything to do with social media, because I am shocking with it.
Okay, so Francis is the person on that, is it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What element do you struggle with?
LinkedIn.
I tell you, I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but LinkedIn for me, the challenge I've got is it just seems to be a platform of people just selling you stuff, and I'm not interested in people selling me stuff. I want to build a relationship with people.
That's exactly right, and I only know the basic of the basics, and I say to my kids, can you just show me how you? They'll be like, oh, such and such on LinkedIn. Can you just show me? And they go, oh, for God's sake, and then I think, oh, don't bother. So
Julie,
I tend to just yeah.
Do you know how to use YouTube?
Yeah.
So go on to everything I do.
I'm not that old, James.
Sorry. Go on. Do you know what the internet is? I'm joking.
Have you still got your Friends Reunited account?
But no, in all seriousness, just Google. Just on YouTube, just type in some top 10 tips for LinkedIn, and then follow it, pause it, and that's what I do. I do things like, because I'm not a specialist in anything like that, and it takes me a little bit of time to pick things up. But I find YouTube's the best because you can pause it, go back.
Good idea, actually.
Thank you.
You know what? YouTube is a learning tool. You're right, James. YouTube is a learning tool on anything is incredible, isn't it? Whatever you need to know, it's probably on YouTube. So yeah, that is a good tip. So yeah, we will ask. Have you still got your Friends Reunited account? I'm joking. What?
MySpace. You still have MySpace, Julie?
You know what? Weirdly, MySpace still exists. I mean, who's using MySpace now? But anyway, but yeah, certainly we'll get.
I don't know MySpace.
MySpace, yeah, it was the original one before Facebook, and then
but we will get Francis to come and have a chat, and specifically on LinkedIn. Yeah, is that right, Julie?
That is just what I struggle with. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, that's fine. Ross, talk to me about whether you'd be happy to come and sort of present to the guys about what the Havering Daily is doing, and who would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk everyone through what the Havering Daily is about and what we do. I think the wider education kind of discussion for the team, when you start a new business, there's obviously the main skills that you need to kind of pick up straight away, like the sales, marketing, customer services, bit of financial management. And what we tend to do is we find a solution for each of those. But as you was talking about, I think you mentioned it earlier about connecting systems up. Maybe there's some disconnect. So it's like building a plane, but a bit at a time without having the full picture of what the plane will look like at the end.
Yeah.
Well, that plane will never fly. Not as well as it could. So, there is some methodologies that you can use to analyze your business in a very easy way. I'm a big fan of the lean methodology, and it's basically identifying waste in your business. So the chances are, if you've recently set up or in the last few years, you've got all of these systems here and your processes, they're all worked out, but that will no way be the most effective way of operating. And if you understand lean and some of the techniques that it gives you, you could analyze your business and soon work out the best way of operating. And it will save you time, effort, money, excess inventory, and stuff like that.
So who's the expert on lean? who's the go-to guy or girl on lean? Who does it really well?
Well, I I've worked with a lot of my colleagues in the past have been very good. So and I've also done lean training. I've been a lean leader before. I could probably knock something up for the team if needs be, just to give kind of lay out what it is, why it would be beneficial for you to understand it and use it, and but if something really in depth, I just wouldn't have the time to put that together. But
Yeah,
I could recommend references, or I could potentially speak to somebody who does this day in day out to present on here. There's options.
Yeah, cool. All right, great. Thanks, Ross. Really appreciate that. And that sort of making your business more efficient as time goes on, particularly when time is in small businesses the sort of greatest challenge as it moves on is good. And then we move on to our very own Joe Wicks. That's going to stick. That is the week. I'm keeping that. It's Phil Fitz.
Thanks. It's Phil Fitz.
Oh, anyway,
Thanks, James.
talk to us about whether you'd be happy to come on. You know what? A 10-minute workout session sounds amazing, as long as no burpees.
No burpees. Fair enough. To be fair, if that's what you want to use my 10 minutes for, if that's what you want me for, totally fine. I just don't want it to. It might be a short call. People scared off.
Yeah, exactly. Why are we losing people halfway through?
I was going to say, if it's not
he said the word burpees again. It's not working.
Yeah, it's totally fine if that's what you'd like to use the 10 minutes for. I think that it's something that I've been thinking about recently, especially since obviously starting up my own business. It's lots of people in business that are really, really good lots of people are really bad at it as well, but lots of people in business are generally very good at time management, planning, setting goals, lots of things that are actually really beneficial that translate into physical health, mental health, all those kind of things. Actually, lots of similar sort of thought patterns, lots of similar sort of theories and things like that. So something like that maybe be interesting actually, because obviously we are a business forum, people in business working on their business. It's something like that. How you can use
how they link.
How they link, the similarities, and how you can use the same sort of things that you develop for your business into like translating them into your physical mental health, things like that.
You know what, Carol's really good at this, and I'm used to it because Carol actually goes out for a run at the same time every day, whereas I try and fit it in whenever I can. But there's a has anybody read James Clear? Sorry, this is turning into book club again. Has anybody read James Clear's Habits? Because it does talk about that, like how you embed those like things in your life and your business to make sure that it works really well. And that goes back to that consistency, doesn't it?
And it's often why we chop and change and we do really well with it, because we don't often develop those habits. When in business and things like that, a lot of the things that we do are cyclical and things like that. You repeat them on a certain day or a certain week, and they end up almost organically kind of embedding themselves. Where some things that maybe you don't like, or things that you actually actively have to change things around, they don't become habits quite so easy. So,
but this is where a service like yours has so much value, Phil. Certainly. I mean, I know your face-to-face boot camps are amazing, and when we can, I'm coming back to them, and that will be part of my weekly Saturday morning routine. I might skip the run there though. That's the thing.
I'm not sure. As I said, I was pretty impressed when you said you were gonna run there, and I was like, fair enough. But then I'm not sure if you thought I was going to take it easy on you because it was your first run.
You didn't. So I had a 3-mile run and then a boot camp. I was like, I'm definitely not running back.
And then rest of the day on the sofa recovering.
Yeah. No, I am quite fit, Phil. I was making
a joke. It's the fact you did a 3-mile run before it.
Yeah, ambitious. It was really good, and certainly when those start again, I'm coming back. But the interesting thing is that accountability, isn't it? Do you know, having somebody to make sure that you stay on track is important, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, that's one of the things that obviously I'm quite big on in terms of with my especially with sort of one reason I started the private community outside of that, because it's all well and good doing the sessions, but if you don't have the people around you supporting you, sometimes it can be easy to do a session and then forget about it. But with the one-to-one PT sessions as well, it's really, I try to obviously put a plan together with my clients as well, because 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week, how many sessions clients doing, that's a very small, it's only a real small period of time in the scope of your week, isn't it? So obviously I try to make sure that people have something to get into those habits, get into some kind of routine, and have things to think about. And it's incremental benefits, isn't it? You do it little by little, and eventually you don't really realize you're in a routine. It just becomes, your day to day.
And then talk to me a little bit about nutrition. How important is that element when you're thinking about sort of staying healthy?
Well, incredibly important. I mean, I think lots of people, when they're thinking about nutrition, they automatically think, oh, diet. I don't want to be on a diet. And lots of people jump from, they think about systems, don't they? They think, oh, I'm going to do keto, or I'm going to do, intermittent fasting, whatever. Whereas what people actually need to think about is they need to pick a nutritional balance, which is energy balance is what you're thinking about. Food is fuel, right? So you eat for what your daily activity is like. So and that's my basis. That's how I kind of approach it. That if you have to really change your diet, it's going to be very difficult. It's a lot of change. It's so you try to see your energy balance within your existing diet. Just be more mindful of what you're doing, and then make small changes along the way, because it's really, really difficult to everyone always thinks, oh, I need to make massive changes. I mean, think about it in your business. How successful would your business be if every week or every month you're making massive drastic changes to your business to try to get to a goal? It wouldn't work.
It's
have
incremental gain, isn't it?
Yeah, you have a goal in mind. You have a goal in mind, and you tweak it, and you progress it over time. So yeah, you don't. It's very difficult to sustain something long term if you're always making drastic changes, or you think you have to make drastic changes. It's not like that.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Phil. Really appreciate that. So we're coming to the end of the call. So as we normally do on a Friday meeting, let's talk about wins of the week, and let's start with Ian.
Yeah, no, it's been a troublesome week, but a good week. We know where we are on the chamber side with Chelmsford Council, and they're kind of behind us as much as they can be. So that's a big win.
Good stuff. And if you don't call it the Chamber of Commerce, what name are you thinking about?
Probably something like Chelmsford City Chambers, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. Carol, talk to me about your win of the week.
I was saving my one-to-one with James as the win of the week because it was just so good. And he's so passionate and so knowledgeable. And I guessed where he lives just from that little bit of brick, not bigging myself up.
You guessed where he lived from what?
That bit of brick behind him.
That is a good guess. I wouldn't have a clue about where he lived from that bit of brick. But yeah,
and these drinks as well. These are the drinks I was talking about.
Cool. What flavour?
So yeah, it's called Cuco, and there's all these different flavours. So coconut milk. What flavours that? I wouldn't say a weird one. Almond, walnut, which I've never heard of, which isn't to my taste, but hey. And so yeah, look out for them. Look out for our leaflets, please.
Amazing, thank you. That's good. And James, now you've got to say your one-to-one with Carol was your win of the week, because otherwise
it was down on my list. It was I've put it in bold and highlighted it as well. That she stole my thunder. But
what else has gone well, mate?
What else has gone well? Just the ongoing process of running a business and helping more families, booking more one-to-ones, building relationships. Yeah. Congratulations, Ian, by the way, on your new role. If it is, yeah. Yeah. And,
thanks, James.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And just looking forward to next week or tomorrow, and then next week.
Amazing,
so
good
on.
stuff. And
cheers,
a bit more sort of sort of pretend golf before you can get out on the golf
Yeah,
course.
well, in the head, I'm playing really well. I've had the best round of my life, best round of my life. But
Yeah,
probably tee it off and then shout 4.
yeah. Hopefully that
As
will
it goes out of
translate when you
bounds.
get back on the course.
Yeah,
Christy, talk to me about your wins.
I think I'm just pleased that we've got a couple more projects to sink my teeth into. So yeah, looking forward to getting started on those.
Amazing stuff. Clive, tell me about your wins this week.
My wins this week. Good question. I suppose one of my wins this week. Well, having signed up 3 new clients this week is I suppose my biggest win of the week so far. Yeah, it's I always like the diversity of some of the clients we have. Making that difference.
Yeah, making a difference. Great. Thank you, Clive. Julie, what's been your big win this week?
Well, we worked together as a team to achieve a new gold member for Action Coach. Plus, I have secured 2 new clients to come to our growth club, which starts on Thursday. So
Amazing.
I'm really chuffed to bits about that.
That's good. Well done.
Thank
Ross, what's your big win?
I won't be taking the full credit for it because obviously Francesca my business partner works extremely hard to make things happen in the community. But I guess, managing to bring the farm to the girl, all the
Yeah, that's a
campaign that we
massive win,
launched.
mate. You should be proud of that.
Yeah, so I mean, these are all good things and all positive. So
good stuff. Yeah, well done on that. And Phil, what's your big win?
For me, as I said, it's been able to juggle home life with work life, and yeah. So for me, it's been a big thing this week. But I think actually just kind of, I said with kind of my the private community that we've got, I think that's been going well, and actually I think a lot of it's been quite successful in terms of there seems to be a lot of conversation and people are resonating with some of the information I'm putting out there, which is really good to see. It's all it's all well and good putting stuff out there, but you really want it to benefit people. So obviously it's nice to see that actually people are they're
responding,
within the community,
yeah,
and responding, actually finding it useful. Because otherwise, as I said, you could be sitting there talking to a camera and putting stuff out there. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a bit of a strange experience?
Yeah, no, and the stuff's good, mate. I mean, I'm part of your community, and I'm really getting a benefit from it. So please do keep that up. And that is it for another. That is it for another Havering Means Business meeting. Thanks for all attending. And I've got a slightly indulgent special announcement to make, right? Russ, who is, as you know, supports the community massively, helps me out, allows me to juggle both the work that I do for Havering Means Business and Savello. He's amazing. It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday.
And he's going to stay quiet now. I've super embarrassed him.
Put your camera on.
He's not. He might not do that. But happy birthday, Russ. Thanks for all you do for.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Give him the rest of the day off, Chris.
Happy birthday, Russ.
He don't get a day off. I mean, come on. I don't know how much work he's got on.
Well, I tell him
yeah.
I love it.
So, apparently, Christine's giving you the day off for us, and that's good enough for me. All
I
right.
appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a lovely Friday, and I'll see you next week. Some of you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.